Hi, I'm shana Meyerson, founder of Mini Yogis, Yoga for Kids in Los Angeles. Mini Yogis is just a really cool and fun yoga program for children. It's non-competitive and it's non-judgmental. It's a really safe place for kids to just have fun, play around with the yoga, learn to control themselves, learn to stay calm, focused, and really learn some life skills, but in a really cool and integrated format. Yoga is awesome for kids because not only does it help them keep healthy, it literally helps their digestive system, their nervous system, their respiratory system, but it helps to keep them calm, it helps to keep them focused, and it gives them tools for living. The reason why I think yoga is awesome for kids is because in yoga, it's like the only place on earth where a kid cannot be wrong, and truly, the effort is the only thing that matters. I don't know another place where kids are completely safe to just really try things, to take risks without worrying about whether they do it exactly right, but rather to get really empowered just by knowing that they tried hard. The reason why I created Mini Yogis as a program specifically for kids, as opposed to sometimes people like to take their kids to like an adult yoga class, is because the point of yoga is to bring together the mind, the body, and the spirit. Now for adults, the way that we do that is by separating by the stimuli and the environment around us. So we need soft music and dim lights and calm easiness. But with kids, it's just the opposite. The way that kids are in their element is when they can play and when they can be free and when they could just really let loose. And so I like within the confines and the constructs of here's the structure, now play with it, instead of here's the structure, deal with it, get serious, everything's serious all the time. So technically, children can start yoga as early as 6 weeks. I know it might sound a little bit weird. Obviously, they're not going to be standing up and like doing a tree pose, but it's a lot of facilitated movement just to help them with the coordination, with the digestion, with the nervous system. But if you're looking for a class that a child can do on his or her own, separate from like a mommy and me format, I would say 2 to 3 years old, depending on the maturity of the child, is a great time to introduce a child to yoga. Just know that even the best 2-year-olds in general will only follow maybe 30 to 60% of the class. That's okay, they learn a lot by osmosis. By the time they're 4, they'll pretty much be in the practice, doing it all, very, very comfortable, and ready for a lifetime of practice ahead of them. When choosing a yoga program for your child, the first thing I recommend is to find out how the teacher has been trained. I recommend that they have a full adult certification, which would be a 200-hour or more certification, so that they really know their yoga that they're imparting to your children. They know how to do it safely, they know how to do it correctly, they know how to instill good habits. And then once you establish that, ask to set up a trial class. It may or may not be free, but at least that way you can see if your child gels with the teacher. And I think ultimately that is the most important thing, that the child and the teacher can relate to each other, that they enjoy each other's company, and that they can establish a relationship that will last for a long time. Of course, I highly recommend that when you ask your teacher about their training, that you ask that they have a children's certification as well. This is something that they would have on top of the 200-hour training. And what a children's certification is going to do is it's going to teach them how to change an adult practice into a kid practice. So some teachers, it's mostly just, well, here's the down dog, now bark in it. But in a kid's training, it's actually, here's a down dog, here's 101 fun ways to do it. If you don't have a frame of reference, ask the teacher where they got their certification, and then look up that program online. You will probably have a pretty good sense as to whether it's legitimate, as to whether it's worldwide, as to whether people respect this program, if it's a well put together program. If you get a good sense of their certification program, you'll probably be on track. I would say that the main thing that parents need to think about when they're signing their child up for yoga is why they're signing their child up for yoga. A lot of times it's because the child has maybe an attention deficit disorder, or they're having behavior issues or anger issues. It's really important to ask the teacher if they know how to deal with these special needs and if they can tailor a class to meet the child's special needs. Beyond that, again, always ask about your teacher certification. You want to make sure that you're working with somebody who is qualified. And if you have the chance to observe them, that's the best way to know. What is their experience with kids? What is their experience with teaching? How much have they been teaching? Because a lot of times you're going to get teachers who don't really know so well the alignment or don't really know so well the philosophy, and what they're teaching your kids is not what your kids should be learning. So it helps if you have some sort of framework of what a yoga practice should be, so that when you observe it, you can see the differential between what's being taught and what actually yoga is. I'm sure that the most rewarding work that I and my staff do is working with special needs children. When we're working with special needs, mostly what it's about is getting really intuitive with, first of all, what the kids need and what their capabilities are, but also a physiological understanding of what their capabilities are. But at the same time, we try to treat the special needs kids just as we treat a normally developing child. I think that a lot of times these children are in therapy all day long and everything is so serious with them. And so our goal is to make our program for special needs just as playful as our program for just a typically developing child, so that the kid can have a place where, yes, they're getting the therapy, but at the same time, they're allowed to be a child. We work with all types of special needs. So we work with autism, muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome, paralysis, borderline personality, anything you could think of, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental. We work with all of these things. I do recommend that private lessons are ideal with special needs children, because that way the class can be very specifically tailored to their own therapy and their own growth. But if necessary, it's good to put your special needs children in a group with normally developing children, so that they have the peer support and the peer modeling. And also, it's hard for a teacher to really pay the requisite amount of attention to a whole room of children with special needs, because you want to make sure your child is getting exactly what he or she needs. So ultimately, one of the best things about yoga is that kids who practice yoga regularly and practice the breathing, they do better in school. It's true. They focus better. They behave better. They do better in sports. They're better at memorizing lines for drama. They enjoy reading more. Anything that requires focus, concentration, and calmness, it will help them with test-taking skills. It will help them for performance in difficult situations, like maybe they play baseball and there's a full count. We teach them coping skills, we teach them calming skills, we teach them concentration skills, and we teach them how to be good human beings. I love teaching yoga to kids, because not only is it fun to play with the kids and have a great time with them, but honestly and truly, I know I'm making an impact on their lives, and there's nothing more empowering than that.